Meghan apparently made sure they gave her the sack an hour or so later because she doesn't want to let him go out of her arms or her hands or her mum showed me a picture of her sort of digging her nails into his arm. I thought, all these things, he had to obey her.
Okay, this one might wind you up a bit more, Angela. Harry and Meghan's worst moment, and my goodness, there were loads to choose from in 2024, but Angela Levin has decided to pick the fake Colombia tour. Angela, this was bad. This was really bad, wasn't it?
It did. It was, and it is. It took me quite a long time to think which one was I going to choose. There's so many. There were so many. I spent quite a long time looking at them, 20, 30, 40, 50 things that I could quickly offer you. But that one I thought was beyond phony. I thought that was being so crude and nasty, and Harry would know full well that that was not the way to behave when he wasn't a member of the royal family. And Meghan would know just as well that this was absolutely brilliant to try and knock them down and show that they're just as good, if not much, much better, trying to be royal than the old-fashioned ones back in London, which she doesn't want to put a foot in. So this was August 24. But how she lets herself down, which I'm delighted to say, is that she pushes Harry all the way. She pushed Harry this way, that way, the other way. If he ever was standing close and she wasn't in the middle and taken the photograph there, she'd push him to the back because she didn't want him there. She was queen, she was king, she was, everybody you could ever imagine. She could do it all with one hand or one finger. It's just the others are so hopeless. And all those phony smiles, I thought they were absolutely shocking, actually. And how she could do that to a country that actually has no money is terrible. And she took a load of presents to go home with. But what could they do? They didn't come representing the United States. They didn't come representing the United Kingdom. So they didn't come representing the royal family. So what could they really do for them? Nothing. They couldn't. They could just smile and show them how wonderful they were and laugh and change clothes. But actually, really, there was nothing they could offer.
But Angela, I found this tour particularly instructive in terms of Prince Harry's mental health because they were photographed a lot, right? And so when he thought he was posing up for a picture, he was able to turn it on. But there were just so many images during this tour where he looked utterly miserable, completely overshadowed. And it really reminded me, do you remember Princess Diana and then Prince Charles's visit in the early 90s? I think it was to Seoul, South Korea. And it was just really when everyone knew that the strains in the marriage were there because they couldn't hide it anymore. Now, Harry can still hide it sometimes, but there was a lot of misery on this tour for him.
Yes, it was. I mean, he did as he was told. That's more than he did when he was younger. Anyway, he did as he was told by his wife. But he felt that this was overwhelming and that he did look incredibly unhappy and sad. Now, this picture here is a very interesting one because he was asking the woman in the green trousers to help him to explain what was
The
going on.
interpreter, yeah.
Yeah, and they were actually laughing and having a nice time. Meghan apparently made sure they gave her the sack an hour or so later because she doesn't want to let him go out of her arms or her hands or her mum showed me a picture of her sort of digging her nails into his arm. I thought, all these things, he had to obey her. And I don't know now in this new year whether he would feel that he's had it now. He's not going to be told what to do.
It's interesting, isn't it? Really interesting. Then, okay.
You saw a man who was crumbling, didn't you? You saw a human. I don't know whether it had been a man or a woman, but when you see someone crumbling and that someone else is taking complete control of where they stand, where they move, how long they're allowed to speak to somebody, how quickly they must obey. You're no longer a proper human, are you? You feel that you've got no space to be you.
Indeed. And Angela, there was another sort of really fascinating part of this tour, which is the fact that Meghan was invited by the Colombian vice president, hard left woman called Francia Marquez. And to begin with, it seemed like they were best mates. But then this extraordinary video emerged, not from any of the official people covering the tour, because remember, reporters were banned actually from most of it. But instead from a citizen journalist. I just want to play it to you because it is this moment where Meghan appears to get too close to
her husband.
Her husband.
Yeah.
And look at what happens.
Yes.
And then she turns her back and she's literally saying, stay away from my man. And it's quite an instructive moment. And again, we covered it here on Outspoken, Angela. I remember us having a discussion about it, but the mainstream media just ignored it.
Yes. Well, that is because she does this all the time. I mean, she's very flirtatious. We don't know how far she's going to carry these things, and maybe not very far. But she knows how to do all the blinking and the winking and the smiling and roaring with laughter. She has this extraordinary way of laughing. If a man talks to her, she goes, as if it's absolutely the funniest thing she's ever heard in her life. So the man feels, oh, this is great, how nice of her. But it's not about that. It's to show that how, she's got to be wanted very much. And she likes to flirt. It's okay in lots of ways. Loads of us flirt at various levels at various times. But you don't do that when you're on even a sort of phony royal visit, do you? I mean, it's just not on.
Well, especially not with the husband of the woman who has invited you there. And then you could just tell that Marquez was so frosty. She ended up being so frosty towards Meghan. It's like, yeah, this is what happens. You think this is a nice woman. No, she's not. Okay, that's them as a couple. But the next Angela Levin Royal Mastermind Award for 2024 is Prince Harry's most shocking moment. And again, there are a lot to choose from, but Angela has gone with the new interview lies, which actually happened just last month with Prince Harry on stage with Aaron Ross Sorkin of the New York Times. Let's have a watch of a couple of the most, I guess, egregious moments from Harry.
And I was looking even as we were in the race coming up to this day, I Googled news you, and there were people who are fascinated by everything you're doing all the time. They're fascinated by Meghan is in California right now, and you're here, and there's articles left and right about, why are you doing independent events? Why aren't you doing them together?
Because you invited me. You should have known.
This is true.
You should have known that was going to happen.
But do you know, is that normal for you? That the second there's an article that says she's in California, you're in New York, they say, well, what is happening with these two, right? So is that a good thing for you in a way that there's so much interest in you?
No, there's definitely not a good thing. Because apparently we've bought or moved house maybe 10, 12 times. We've apparently divorced maybe 10, 12 times as well. So everyone's just like, what? So yeah, it's hard to keep up with, but that's why you just sort of ignore it. The people I feel most sorry about are the trolls who their hopes are just built and built and built, and it's like yes, and then it doesn't happen. Right. So I feel sorry for them. Genuinely, I do. I mean that. But yes, I have no doubt that everything that we've spoken about
Right.
today, in the last, the clock's on zero,
Yep.
25 minutes, will be spun or twisted somehow against me. And maybe you yourself
It's possible.
will be trolled relentlessly. And for that, I can only apologize. But you did invite me, so it's not.
Well, I know we're almost out of time, but you have a case in the UK so that you can go back there and hopefully have better security when you're there, and wanted to understand sort of where that whole thing stands, and also just whether you plan to remain here with us in the US.
I do. I very much enjoy living here and bringing my kids up here. It's a part of my life that I never thought I was going to live. And I feel as though it's the life that my mum wanted for me. And to be able to do the things that I am able to do with my kids that I undoubtedly wouldn't be able to do in the UK is huge. And that's a fantastic opportunity. I'm hugely grateful for that. You bring up another case, one that I can't talk about, and you should know that. But what I would say in that is, she's talking about security. I never should have had security removed in the first place. It's amazing when you go through this litigation, of which I have become a professional at, of which I aim to retire fairly soon. In that regard, I certainly don't want to be starting. I'm not starting them, right?
No, you are.
I'm just trying to, again, find truth and accountability and ultimately reconciliation. But I never should have had it removed. But the disclosure, I think you guys call it discovery process, has been troubling and enlightening. And I just have to now sit and wait until April.
I mean, Angela, it's all quite unbearable. It's all quite unbearable listening to that. So much to pick up on, though. But I would just say, to me, the most egregious lie, because we're talking about his lies, is that... But first, if you want to look sharp for all of these New Year gatherings, check out the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. Now, trust me, it's like so beautiful on your face. I use it and it guides you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. Let me show you the goods. The Chairman Pro is armed with not one, but two interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. Think of them as your grooming superheroes. The skin-safe 4-blade foil for when you want that baby's bottom smooth, and the skin-safe stubble trimmer for when you want to keep some stubble but clean it up a bit. Both keep you looking sharp while minimizing razor burn and irritation, because nobody wants to show up to your party looking like you lost a fight. But wait, there's more. The Chairman Pro has Flex Adjust technology, which is a bit of a miracle of shaving. Actually, the blades and pivoting head adjust to every curve of your face and are gentle on the neck area, so you can go ahead and kiss that awkward jawline patch goodbye. If you want even more precision, on the right side of the bracket, I find this personally very, very helpful. There's a precision lock. So when you lock it, the blade head sits firm so you can achieve a more precise shave for the particular areas that you want to get to. Here's something that will make your grooming routine even easier too. The Chairman Pro waterproof, so you can use it right in the shower. And the waterproof feature doesn't just make shaving easier, it also simplifies cleanup too. Just a quick rinse under the sink and you're all set. The Chairman Pro isn't just for daily shaves either. It's powerful enough if you want to tackle 5-day growth, making it perfect whether you're shaving every day or just tidying up after a few days. And with up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge, you'll have plenty of juice to go. It even has a travel lock too. This is great because you know how annoying it is when your shaver turns on in your bag and it runs out of all the battery. And this is something that I find incredibly helpful. An LED spotlight so you can see every detail, ensuring nothing gets missed. So get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Head on over to www.manscaped.com. Join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using the code Outspoken for free shipping and 20% off. So that's manscaped.com using the code Outspoken. But now, back to the show. In America, he can't do the things that he would want to be able to do in the UK. That is absolute rubbish. Catherine and William, one of them drops the kids off to school every day. Every day. It's part of their routine. Now, do we ever see pictures of that? Are they ever hounded? No, they are not. You are far more protected in the UK as a member of the royal family than you are in Hollywood as a celebrity.
Yeah, there's lots of things there, actually. I mean, I was absolutely shocked because he couldn't stop himself from being extremely rude when he said, why aren't you doing it together? He said, because you asked me, you should have known. Well, absolutely. Why should he have known? Do you think the only thing he had to do was to go through what Meghan's time was going to be like, and then decided to do the same with Harry? I mean, he really tried to eat a slice out of him. I don't think you eat a slice, but they had to pull him to pieces on that sentence. And I thought, whoops. And then he immediately went back about all the other things. But I thought also what was ridiculous, you say, is like in the US, is what his mother Diana would have wanted for him. I mean, no, she was very keen on the royal family. She would, it's making assumptions that are absolutely ridiculous and actually pulling his late mother through them when it's really not true. He didn't know what she was going to say to him after 12. I mean, it's a tragedy that happened, but actually to use her to make him look better, I think is very, very poor.
And also, Angela, the one thing that we do know for a fact is that Diana's absolute priority was raising Harry in a way where he was going to be there for William, loyal to his brother.
Yes.
Diana was acutely aware that William was going to need that support as the future king, the heir to the throne. So he has let his mother down there.
Yes.
And the other thing that we know, Angela, is that Diana had direct and personal relationships with the media. Sure,
Yes.
she wasn't a fan of the paparazzi, absolutely not. But journalists Diana worked with, spoke to,
Yes.
sometimes even invited around to Kensington Palace. So this idea that Diana somehow wanted Harry to wage a war against the media is baloney.
She was one of those who felt that the that journalists had to do their own job, and that was to talk about the royal family. She was very good like that, and I don't believe that for a minute. But his way of actually making all us journalists look absolutely pathetic is that we kept going up. He was very lots of gestures with his hand. All we wanted to do, we wanted to wait and wait and wait till they were moving or till they were divorcing or all that. But then they get to the top, nothing happened. It's just on the other side that people who are going to get awards that account. Please. There's a whole range of journalists, and actually they want journalists because if there weren't any journalists, no one would say what they're doing and how they are and all that.
But Angela, they brief journalists all the
Yes, of course they
time.
do.
He's
Of
been
course they
emailing
do. But
People
it's only the
magazine.
special ones, the special ones. They just want to pick. That's what he wants to do. He wants to knock down all the journalists that are working at the moment, and then just pick one or two people that they can use.
Yeah, because this year he admitted he was emailing People magazine. We know they feed Us Weekly. We know they feed Marie Claire, Town and Country, the Daily Telegraph in the UK. So,
Not newspapers, really, just magazines.
yeah, because they're the ones that are not going to give them any sort of scrutiny.
Yeah.
Which is fine, by the way. If they want to brief journalists, that's fine. But to at the same time claim that he's some sort of campaigner against the media is ludicrous. But let's move on to Meghan's most shocking moment. And Angela has chosen the quite surprising incident where Meghan Markle decided to tell a group of young girls that she was the most bullied woman in the world. Angela, over to you.
Yes. Well, the young girls there who were wearing very sort of somber clothes would be very naive They won't be out in the world like people in the UK. But she had to, obviously, be very badly treated. She was one of the most bullied people in the world. And so she wanted to give an image that she, despite having this title, she could get through it. And she was so remarkable that she could manage it. Yes, I just think it was, she wanted to show how her own life was, and she talked endlessly about herself. So I think young teenage girls aren't really very interested in what adults are doing, and they don't want their story. Maybe they'd never even heard of her, but she went on and on and on about herself. And actually, if she'd have said, any questions you want to ask me about XYZ, can I help you? Do you want to know about London? Do you want to know about America? To give them a broader life for a moment, or to tell them nice stories, instead of which it was all about me, me, me. When I chose that because it was another me, me, me.
Yeah, and the thing is, again, Angela, it's totally, totally delusional.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry. If there is one woman, Angela, who was the most bullied woman in the world in 2024, it was Catherine, the Princess of Wales. And do you know why she was the most bullied woman in the world? Because of your Sussex squad, Meghan. No one is trying to say that Meghan has been secretly murdered by her husband, or that her husband's cheated on her when he's not. Like, the front of it, given what Catherine had gone through at the hands of online trolls driven by the Sussex squad this year, I just felt it was so egregious.
We see through them all now, both of them. We can. At the beginning it was difficult, and in America particularly, they welcomed them and said, they believed some masses of what they said. But now people don't believe it and think that it is actually most appalling, unnecessary, spiteful, cruel behavior. So they haven't won.
No. True point. True point.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.